welcome back to another EDH deck tech. This is my Asmodeus, the Archfiend deck. I've been really excited about this deck, and super excited to do this deck tech. I had planned to do this much earlier, but the more I played it, the more I enjoyed it, the more I tweaked with it. It is really that kind of deck that allows you to have a lot of possibilities, a lot of options. I think a lot of people's decks won't be the same. It's not a particularly popular one, so there was a lot of creativity that went into this, and really trying to work out, okay, what do I need, what do I don't need. So as much as the Archfiend, it doesn't ask a lot of you. It is a steep cost to kind of draw those cards, and of course those cards are going to go into exile, but other than that, you know, it's not really telling you what to do. So you have a lot of that creativity that kind of goes in there. How are we going to win? How are we going to interact with our opponents? Things like that. Really, it's just saying, I want to draw cards, the rest is up to you. So that was a lot of fun kind of working. So I did work this one as kind of a mono black combo deck. So there's a few combos in here to kind of win, mainly because Asmodeus is quite expensive mana value wise, and also the drawing can be quite expensive as well. So, you know, you need to have a kind of protective game plan to keep Asmodeus around, but also kind of to make sure that the game will go long enough for you to draw enough cards for you to eventually win. So we'll go through the deck. First, we'll go through the combos and how they work, because they can be quite complicated. So first up, let's go here. Okay, so essentially how the combos work is it's centered around Necrotic Ooze. So it will get all activated abilities of creatures in the graveyard. So you got to get Asmodeus into the graveyard. I haven't got a strong theme of sacrificing Asmodeus. I found that the kind of self-sacrifice just to be able to draw cards without the down effects just wasn't very valuable. I often would waste an entire turn kind of trying to get that value. So it didn't really work out. But there is still some ways to get it into the graveyard to work with Necrotic Ooze, because essentially, yes, you're going to want it in the graveyard, so that Necrotic Ooze, because Necrotic Ooze is not going to get the Exile effect, the Binding Contract effect. So you want that on the battlefield. You're just going to pay 3 black, and you're going to draw cards. So that's fantastic. Okay, what do we do with that? So from there, we have Scourge Familiar, nice little reprint from Modern Horizons 2. So its stats doesn't matter, its cost doesn't matter. It's just discard a card, add 1 black. So essentially what's going to happen is you're going to draw 7 cards with Asmodeus. So that's great. And then you're going to discard 3 to this. With this on the battlefield in Necrotic Ooze, you're then going to draw 3, discard 3, draw 3, discard 3. So the benefit with Necrotic Ooze is you don't, they don't go into exile and you don't take the life loss. So that's fantastic. If you didn't have Necrotic Ooze, you can still work with the Scourge Familiar, but you will be taking life loss, and you will obviously have to pay that additional 1 to get those cards out. But the whole point is that you're discarding cards to do this. Now, with these two, you can kind of have a plethora of options on how to win based off this. I've gone with X spells, but you could, I have seen some lists with Psychosis Crawler. So, you know, whenever you draw a card, you're going to ping everyone for 1. That one, it was okay. The problem is that Asmodeus doesn't draw cards. So unless you have this combo, it pretty much does nothing, which I didn't particularly like. Also, if Psychosis Crawler was near the bottom of my deck, I've pretty much drawn my deck, so I didn't really get that benefit. So I didn't particularly like Psychosis Crawler, but there was a new one in Modern Horizons 2, Feast of Sanity, that I did like, because essentially it is whenever you discard, you're going to have that Blood Artifact. So Scourge Familiar will discard, as well as if you're holding all your cards in your hand, you'll go to discard phase and you'll just get rid of them. So that one I also liked as well. The problem is that I do have a few no maximum hand size effects. So that one also didn't work out too well. So I ended up going with the X spells. So with all these out, essentially you've got Exsanguinate and Torment of Hellfire. Just playing X spells, you got to pump all that mana into there. I've got a big mana theme in the deck, so it just kind of works. So I felt these were the best ways to kind of win with this combo. Of course, you don't need this combo to obviously win with Torment of Hellfire. Black, can produce enough mana to do that, but it is there, and it has been a lot of fun to get that out. Now, this combo can be a bit difficult sometimes, so I do have a backup combo, something that you don't need to play whatsoever, but I did find that it was sometimes a struggle to get this combo online, so I do have a backup. So that backup is Exsanguinate and Sanguine Bond. Typical combo, you do not need to play these. Exquisite Blood is a very expensive card, so you don't need to play this. You could probably just have the combo and Torment of Hellfire just as a generic win con to back it up. There's also Grey Merchant of Asphodel. So there's plenty of ways to win, so you don't necessarily need this, but I did like just to have that backup combo as I'm digging cards. So that's it. I took a lot of time kind of explaining this combo and how these work, so I hope that has come across because it is a big fixture of the deck. You are essentially just drawing cards until you can get these pieces. So with that out the way, we'll go through the rest of the deck. So rest of the deck. Ramp. Ramp is super important. Now, normally I do leave ramp until, near the end. It's not the most interesting part, but with Asmodeus, it's super, super important. A, because I'm doing big mana stuff, and B, it's a 6 mana commander. Come on. Like, we need a lot of ramp. So, there's a real focus around swamps and additional swamps. So, typical mono black ramp and big mana. We've gone with Bubbling Muck. Bubbling Muck has been really, really great just to add an additional swamp mana to your mana pool when you tap. So fantastic, 1 mana, really, really cheap, really efficient. Dark Ritual, classic. You're going to get out your turn 4, hopefully into your Asmodeus as quick as possible. We really want Asmodeus down as fast as you possibly can. I don't have like Mana Crypt or Mana Vault or anything like that. They would be great additions, but essentially as quick as you can. I find, a turn 4 Asmodeus is generally what I do. So yep, so Dark Ritual, great for that. Soul Ring, classic. Wayfarer's Bubble, we want swamps. We want a lot of swamps. We don't want a lot of colorless mana. So we really want to get those basics out. So Wayfarer's Bubble is great for that. Arcane Signet, great. Cabal Ritual, just kind of like a redundant Dark Ritual, not as good, but it can get there. Fellwar Stone, black's a popular color, people will play it, so great. Jet Medallion, a lot of black pips, a lot of generic costs, so we can reduce that by 1, which is quite nice. There's a lot of little spells that we can play that kind of just run through quite well when we have Jet Medallion. Mind Stone, in there, 2 mana ramp, and it can draw a card. Sometimes that comes up. Thought Vessel. Thought Vessel's great. It does produce colorless, obviously, which is not really what we want, but no maximum hand size is really, really great in this deck. Just because drawing your 7, usually I had about, say, 4 or 5 cards still in my hand, and then drawing 7, I've got that 12, cards in my hand, so, I want to keep them. Burnished Heart, again, focus around swamps. Really, really great. Cryptghast, so again on the additional swamp mana when we tap our swamps, it's great, and Extort's nice for a bit of life gain, so it's quite nice. Nyx Lotus, so I don't normally put Nyx Lotus in a lot of my decks, but this one is big mana, so it comes in tap, which is a downside, but it is our devotion to black, which can be quite high, so normal black stuff. Solemn Simulacrum, again, we want swamps. And it's a nice little sack fodder as well. Mages of the Coffers. So Mages of the Coffers, it's probably the worst one of this kind of effect. It's 5 mana, so it's already quite pricey. but essentially does you know, the redundant kind of Cabal coffers, so that can be nice. So you know, you might replace this with maybe something like extra planar lens or something like that. I don't have one, so this kind of goes in there. It's been okay, you know, if you're in a place where you get the opportunity to untap with it, that's fantastic. Okay, Sun, great. We don't really care about the +1/+1. We're not playing a lot of creatures, but again, we want the mana doubling. So 6 is a lot, but we get there. The kind of Revenant, fantastic. It's essentially K-Sun on a you know, on a body. The pump effect can be somewhat threatening because we have a lot of mana, but it's mainly there for the swamp, so really nice. And then Crick, Son of Yawgmoth, turns all our black pips into Phyrexian, so that's really great. We have a life gain theme as well, so having that, using that life, we're going to be using a lot, obviously, with our commander and other spells as well. So having the life gain to support Crick, fantastic. Okay, so on to life gain, because that is the next big thing. So we're drawing cards, we're losing life, so we need the life gain. So Blood Artist, great effect, you know, creatures dying all the time, so it's nice. Demon's Horn, so anyone plays a black spell, you're going to gain life. It's okay. 2 mana's decent for that effect. Star for the Death Mages, another one, so this is only us, but it's also with a swamp that comes into battlefield. So these two are probably the weakest of these effects of life gain, I guess, but it's nice to have that kind of consistency. And if they kind of come down early, it's quite nice. Veto, Thorn of Dust Rose, also combos with your Exquisite Blood and Sanguine Bond, so that's great. But it's also there, can give our creatures lifelink as well, and we're, you know, going to be utilizing that life, which is nice. And the Flux Reservoir, really great. Obviously, you know, you can threaten to ping your opponents. I've never had that much life because I just use my life to draw cards, so it is there to help padding my life total, so I utilize it that way. If you want to try and increase the life gain in this deck, to try and make this more of a threat, like Bolas' Citadel and Sensei Divine Top, for instance, you could definitely do that. You know, they would both also go great in this deck. So, yep, but it's really there to help pad my life total. Could also be a bit of a threat. Dread Presence, big swamp focus, you know, so I will often use the 2 damage to life, just so they can gain some life, and because I'm going to be drawing a lot of cards anyway, so I don't necessarily need the Phyrexian Altar kind of effect, Phyrexian Arena kind of effect, sorry, so it's mainly there for life gain. With Erebos, just to give my creatures lifelink. I don't play too many creatures, but having a nice 6/6 lifelink Asmodeus really helps. And also a bit of a reanimation effect. There's a bit of a light reanimation theme. I'm discarding some cards to end of turn, as well as just in case one of my combo pieces go to the graveyard, I can get them back. That's nice. Alhama's Archive, really interesting. So this is a replacement effect. The life gain's there, it's fantastic. You know, Blood Artist getting us 2 life is really great. Things like that, but the draw effect, so it's going to replace your draw. Your Asmodeus also replaces your draw, so you do get to choose the order in which those are applied. So essentially what you're going to do is when you draw 7, you're going to say, okay, I'm going to draw 14, and then obviously you don't draw 14, you put them into exile. So you'll draw 14, and then obviously when you return them, you're going to take 14 life, so do keep that into consideration, but it just speeds that process a lot better, and also helps with that life gain. Great Merchant of Asphodel can be also a win condition. Obviously, it's a classic in mono black, but it's there also to help pad our life total. Fantastic card. Okay, Polluted Bonds. This is my only foreign card just because the price was too irresistible. So whenever your opponent plays a land, you know, you're going to get 2 life and they're going to lose 2 life. So really, really nice as it goes around the table. You know, it's 12 life swing, which is great. You know, if everyone's going to be wanting to play lands, so that's nice, obviously, for them. But essentially, you know, that 6 life, if everyone plays a land, is going to kind of pay for our draw. So that's really nice to have. And it can be, you know, a bit of a win condition. It can also kind of help if you have a landfall opponent. It's really going to kind of deter them, so it's nice. Venser's Journal. Venser's Journal I've loved this card. So first of all, it helps no maximum hand size. Great, that's kind of what we want. But at the beginning of the upkeep, we're going to gain 1 life for each card in our hand. So what sometimes happens is I just activate Asmodeus' ability in my upkeep with this trigger on the stack. And then I just draw a whole bunch of cards because it's going to count how many cards I have in my hand. It's essentially going to be free. I'm just going to use all my life to draw as much cards as I can with whatever mana I can, and then draw those cards, gain all that life. So that's really fantastic. Now, if you do that, and I have done that, you're essentially taking a turn off to draw as many cards as you can. But sometimes it's nice. I'll just pay the 4. If, say, you know, I have a lot of mana, I'll just pay 4 in the upkeep just to get something to pad, and then see what my options are, and then see if I need to, you know, play the ruler game again. But really, really like this one. Kakusho, the Evening Star, you know, in there, it's going to deal some damage to our opponents, which is great, but it's also, you know, going to kind of do that Great Merchant effect, which is nice. We have a few sack outlets, not too much, but it's in there to help pad our life total. And to reanimate as well. Profane Transfusion. Oh, man, I love this card. So, 2 target players are going to exchange life. You're going to get a horror. Who cares about the horror? That doesn't matter. But the fact is, you're going to exchange life. Great. A nice little story. I played a game. I went down to 2 life, swapped life totals with somebody who was at 41, and then swung out with Asmodeus because they didn't have any blockers. So that was really fun. The horror token did get Cyclonic Rift, so you know, say that as you do. But you know, it can be a real big swing. I just had so much mana that I could trigger Asmodeus so many times and play this. That's how much mana that you know, the deck produces. So it's quite nice. Okay, now protection. So protection is really important, obviously, in life and in Magic. So we want to keep Asmodeus around as much as possible. So we do have a few protection pieces, and they come in different forms. So Malakir Rebirth is great. It's a land on the other side. The interesting thing with this, and do note that the cards drawn are linked to the Asmodeus object. So if you say draw some cards, and then for some reason it, you know, Asmodeus is about to die, and you use Malakir Rebirth, the cards linked to that Asmodeus will be gone, essentially in exile, face down, so you do not know. And then you know, it will obviously go to the graveyard, come back. And then obviously any new cards will be linked to that one. So do keep that in mind. I did once have 2 cards in exile with one Asmodeus. I used Malakir Rebirth. And underneath that was Sanguine Bond. Of course, it's fun to find out what cards were underneath at the end of the game. But do keep that in mind if you do have those kind of reanimation effects. That they are linked specifically to, you know, the Asmodeus object that is on the battlefield. So, but it's nice just to have that 1 mana protection. Okay, Lightning Greaves, classic. We don't care about the haste. We do care about Shroud. We're not targeting our commander other than Malakir Rebirth, I guess. But the Shroud is really nice. And of course, Swiftfoot Boot always kind of follows. Great, hexproof. Okay, Sudden Spoiling. So Sudden Spoiling is not really a card that I play too much. But we don't really have a lot of creatures. We are a black deck that uses life. People will target you. So it's nice to just have that bit of a gotcha. I forget the name, Clouthus, or no, whatever the new dragon is from the AFR commander set. That green red dragon that produces mana when it attacks. Can't remember. Anyway, huge attackers. So though in that kind of circumstance, Sudden Spoiling was really nice. just to have. It's great because it's 3 mana, which also coincides with your 3 mana to activate Asmodeus, so you're kind of maybe keeping that up anyway, so it can be quite nice, and it can help you, obviously, in a turn, so quite nice. No Mercy. So another one where I've tried to look for the protection, as much protection as I can, being mono black. So I really wanted something to kind of deter people from attacking me, because I found that people just attack me because I was the black player. They used life. So No Mercy was really great, just to kind of deter people, kind of make people think, oh, you know, maybe I won't attack them. Okay, Draw. So Draw was an interesting category, essentially because Asmodeus draws cards itself. I remember listening to an EDH Recast podcast episode about commanders that draw and how little draw that people do put in the deck, and I was like, that doesn't make sense. I thought people would want as much draw as possible. And as I had Asmodeus out, I kept drawing and drawing and drawing. I'm just like, I don't need any of these draw cards. So this is probably the smallest draw pile that I've ever had in deck building. But Necropotence, you know, it's one of the best black cards. It's doing the same effect as Asmodeus. It's going to put it into Exile. So Necropotence, you know, still better than Asmodeus with drawing. But it's definitely nice to have there. And then Villas, Broker of Blood. So just those two, Necropotence and Villas. Villas is really great. 8 mana could be, you know, expensive, but essentially when you lose life, you're going to draw cards. So what's going to happen is you're going to pay the 1 to activate Asmodeus. You're going to lose that life. You're then going to draw those cards, and then you can just pay the 1 to activate. So, you know, you pay the 3, draw 7. You then pay the 1, you draw, you essentially put that 7 into your hand, you lose 7, which makes you draw 7, which means you can just pay 1 again to get those 7, and so forth and so forth. So you're only paying 1 to get 7 cards. Pretty good. Not Grizzlebrand good, but pretty good. Okay, so a small reanimation package, just to kind of get some of those cards, you know, out of the graveyard, just in case they go in there, as well as, you know, playing around with some of our opponents. We don't have a lot of creatures. This kind of helps with that, you know, to deter people. So Reanimate, great, classic, losing life. We've got Life to Balance. Animate Dead, another one, you know, super efficient, cheap, great. And then Chainer, Dimension Master, just to, you know, we have a lot of black. So, you know, it's really nice. Okay, Tutors. Tutors really important. Obviously, we're black decks, so, you know, we want those tutors. We have a lot of great utility lands, so Expedition Map goes great to get those lands. Vampiric Tutor, 1 mana. Vampiric Tutor is interesting in this one. Normally, like, say, like turn 1 Vampiric Tutor, I might tutor for a Soul Ring, but I need black mana, so, you know, I'm going to be tutoring for the Urborg Cabal Coffers, you know, that kind of stuff. Demonic Tutor, great, you know, play it if you can. Diabolic Intent, it's a bit of a sack outlet, just to, you know, if I need to get Asmodeus out, as well as just a great tutor. And then Razaketh, the Foul-Blooded. So this one's really great. This one's probably the main thing that I'll use to get my tutors out. Essentially, I'll need 1 other creature and Asmodeus, and then I can sacrifice both them to get my Necrotic Ooze and my Scourge Familiar, and then I just go from there. So really pivotal card in the deck. I do kind of want this as my main sack outlet to kind of put Asmodeus in the graveyard. But yeah, fantastic. Then so removal, of course we're black, and you know, I don't really have the creatures to support some of that removal, or deter people from attacking us. So Defile, you know, I have a lot of swamps. Feed the Swarm, great, hits enchantments as well. And we lose life, helps, you know, we've got our life total. Force of Despair, another one that I do like to play, but you could probably put this as some other remove spell if you like. So it's just to destroy all creatures that entered. I've got a big hand, I've got a lot of black cards that I probably don't need. Yeah, it's quite nice. Baleful Mastery, Exile, the drawing the card is negligible. The fact is it's going to exile those creatures and Planeswalkers, which is nice. Again, we don't have creatures really to hit Planeswalkers, so... Daily Rollick, you know, free. I want my commander out, so, you know, you will be getting this effect a lot. Hagra Moling, again, this is land, so that's nice, and we also get to destroy a creature. So have that on the back end. Noxious Gearhulk. So a creature, so it's good, we can reanimate, but it's going to help us with our life total, so it kind of serves that dual purpose, which is nice. And then board wipes, Toxic Deluge, really, really nice. It's going to get around Indestructible, really powerful. Mutilate, we have a lot of swamps, also gets around Indestructible, quite nice. Damnation, these are all kind of the staples, going to destroy all creatures. I did kind of want another board wipe. I found that, I'm light on creatures. I have reanimation effects. I felt like I wanted another board wipe. So I went with Decree of Pain only because, I can have the mana to support it. So that's fine. But you could probably put in whatever your favorite fourth board wipe if you want. But I felt like I needed another board wipe. So I put that in there. You could do like a Plague Wind or Ingarrick's Wake or something like that. Maybe these are all pretty expensive, so if you had Snowlands, maybe Dead of Winter, something like that. So this one I've enjoyed, and drawing cards are nice. Okay, mana. So to help support that ramp, we've also got a lot of utility lands that help produce some of those important mana. So Ancient Tomb, great, gets us ahead. Paducah Bog, deals with people's graveyards, so that's fantastic. Cabal Coffers, really good. We have a lot of swamps in this deck. It's going to produce a lot of mana. Try to get this one out early if you can. It's a staple. Cabal Stronghold, another, baby Cabal Coffers. We have a lot of swamps. Our Solemn Simulacrums, Burnished Hearts, they're going to be getting swamps out. So we still have a lot of basic swamps. So this still taps for quite a lot. Myriad Landscape, another one that we just want to get swamps out. So it's going to help us get those swamps onto the battlefield, which is nice. I love having this on turn 1. Nykthos, Shrine of Nyx, we have a lot of devotion. It's great if you have a Necropotence out. You're already going to be hitting a lot of that devotion. So really, really powerful. That's the kind of thing that we want when we're producing mana. Phyrexian Tower, another bit of that sack outlet. So this one's quite nice because you can activate the draw 7 and use Phyrexian Tower to sacrifice Asmodeus to get the 2 mana to pay for the draw, which means that they don't go in exile because Asmodeus is no longer on the battlefield to be seen when the draw 7 resolves. So that's really, really nice. If you have this in another land and you're ready to sack Asmodeus, you can just draw those 7 cards, which is really nice. Or if you're desperate. Reliquary Tower, we need no maximum hand size, so that's quite nice. It's pity it taps for colorless, but the no maximum hand size is really, really nice in the deck. Strip Mine, I always play some kind of land destruction land, depending on the budget. So for this one, it's Strip Mine, but you could do like a Ghost Quarter or something, just because somebody has a Cabal Coffin, somebody has a Gaia's Cradle, somebody has something. Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, obviously combos with Cabal Coffers to produce additional lands, swamps, so that's fantastic. I run this in all my decks. Witch's Cottage, just nice, just a bit of value. It is also a swamp, which works. I was playing an additional land in this deck, so I added Witch's Cottage. Probably I wouldn't have this one, but because it's an expensive commander, I did want to have an additional land. So I just put in Witch's Cottage, but this could be just easily a swamp. But it's nice, you can get a creature back, which is great. And then just a whole bunch of swamps, as per usual, what you'd expect. So I've had a lot of fun with this deck. People say that drawing cards is the most fun part of Magic, and, I can agree with that. Yeah, and it's just really great. If you have problems with decision paralysis, you might have some issues, because you're going to have a hand full of, 12, 21 cards that you need to make decisions. And if your, play group's kind of just waiting around, it could be a cause of a problem. But it's a very different mono black deck that I'm used to playing. So I've had a blast playing this, and I hope you do.